There are only 15 days left until the Philadelphia Marathon and my 4th attempt at running a sub 3-hour marathon, which means today's 16-mile long run is my last true long run. It's a fast finish long run, which means the last 6 miles will be at marathon pace or faster. And on today's run, I wanted to talk about why it's okay to miss a workout or run during your marathon training. So let's get to it. So the idea for this week's video actually comes from my last week of training, where I had a few days in a row that I just completely missed the mark. I had an easy run that was scheduled for 70 minutes. I only ended up doing 50 minutes because I just was not feeling it that day. The next day, I had a 12-mile run with 10 miles at marathon pace. Did the 1-mile warm-up, got into the marathon pace section of the workout, and for some reason just started off strong, and I can't even explain it, but ended up cutting the workout at 5 miles. Ran the 1-mile cool down, so I ended up only doing 7 miles of the entire 12. And then the next day, another easy run. I felt better than I had the previous 2 days, but I still just felt slightly off. And so it got me thinking about how just because you miss workouts or runs in your marathon training plan doesn't mean you need to immediately panic. Even this late in a training block, where I'm only 15 days out from my marathon, so I was like 3 weeks out when I had those bad workouts. It doesn't mean you need to panic. I want to talk about 3 different reasons you may have a bad workout or a bad run, and why there's no reason to panic when that happens. Just hit mile 1, 7:46 minute mile split. Current heart rate is 147. Just hit mile 2, 8 minutes 15-second minute mile split. Current heart rate 152. Also, the ground is super muddy because it just rained, and the alpha flies are not built for this type of surface. So we'll see how I do as the run progresses, especially those marathon pace miles. And so before I get into the 3 reasons why you shouldn't panic when you miss a workout, I want to define what I view as a missed workout. So first would be you miss your run or your workout altogether. So whatever's scheduled for the day, you just don't do it and you take a rest day. The second would be you do what is scheduled, whether just an easy run or some type of speed workout, and you end up having to cut it short because you're struggling, you're not fit, whatever the case may be. A perfect example would be that easy run and that marathon pace workout I talked about last week. I was not able to complete those workouts as scheduled. And then the third would be specific to speed workouts. So you have a scheduled speed workout, but you choose to skip it and run an easy run instead, because again, you're not feeling it that day, whatever the case may be. You choose to skip the speed workout and do an easy run instead. Just hit mile 3, 8 minutes 14-second minute mile split. Current heart rate is 147. Just hit mile 4, 8 minutes 25-second minute mile split. Current heart rate is 143. So the first reason I will say you should not worry when you miss a run or a speed workout is that maybe that run or workout is just not suited for you at this time. So what I mean is, maybe your fitness isn't where it needs to be doing those types of runs, or maybe it's just not something that's really tailored to who you are as an individual. One thing I've noticed with the different training plans I've run is that when you're looking at generic marathon training plans, usually you have some goal in mind of how fast you want to run the marathon if you're not looking to just finish. And then typically you find a plan that looks like it may be suited to help you get there, whether that be word of mouth from friends who have run a race and achieved their goal, or you just do online research like Reddit or Let's Run, and you take someone's advice on a training plan. But the problem is with generic training plans, they can sometimes have runs or workouts that just aren't suited to you, where your fitness is at, or what type of, person, individual runner you are. So my example for that is when I ran the Glass City Marathon in Toledo, I did the Luke Humphreys or Hanson's marathon method, 60 to 85 mile per week training plan. That plan had pretty early on And every single week, if I remember correctly, like a workout where you did 3-mile warm up, 8 to 10 miles at marathon pace, and then a 3-mile cool down. And let's just say my fitness was not where it needed to be to do those workouts so early on. And I ended up missing like the first 3 weeks of each workout. So I would end up doing like 6 miles instead of the scheduled 8, or 8 miles instead of the scheduled 10. Eventually my fitness got to where I needed to be, and those workouts no longer posed a problem for me. But in hindsight, I probably should have adjusted my training plan to better fit where I knew my fitness was at. Because most of those runs that I would go into, I knew that they were gonna be hard and they made me really nervous. But there was that part of me that was like, oh, you just need to toughen up and psych yourself out. Like, listen to some music or motivational videos and you'll get through it. And that doesn't always work. So one thing I'll say is, if you're missing workouts, don't be too worried. Really assess where you're at as a runner in your running journey. How long have you been running? What is your weekly mileage? Maybe you took on too much mileage because you've heard the old adage that like volume gets you faster. So maybe you just ramped up too quickly and you're doing too many miles, or you just know your fitness isn't where it's at, but you heard like Hanson's marathon method is the best. So that's what I have to do, and I just have to follow it to a T. Just realize that you can adjust your plan. And I would argue even one step further would be get a coach. If you can afford it, find someone who can help tailor your workouts towards who you are as a runner, what you enjoy in running, what types of workouts you enjoy. And they will also be able to give you real-time feedback on how you're doing, how you can adjust your plan, and help you progress towards your goals without basically banging your head against the wall, trying to do workouts and runs that just aren't suited for you. Just hit mile 5, 8 minutes, 33 second minute mile split. Current heart rate is 150. Just hit mile 6, 8 minutes, 35 second minute mile split. Current heart rate is 156. Going up quite a nice hill. Oh man, which means I'm feeling it right now. So the second reason you should not worry if you miss a workout or a run during your marathon training is simply that there may be outside stressors that are causing you to underperform with your training. So that could be anything from work to home life, to family life, to social life. So whatever may be going on in your life that you just don't realize is adding unnecessary or unwanted stress, and it's creeping into your running or your training. And that could just be any type of training in general. A lot of times, I know me personally, and I'm assuming others do this, I can't be the only one, we like to compartmentalize different aspects of our life into their own bucket. So what I do at work doesn't really affect what I'm doing when I'm running, or at least that's how my brain likes to compartmentalize it sometimes. But the reality is that's not the truth. If I have a stressful day at work, there's a good chance that I'm going to have a bad run, or I'm just gonna feel and struggle, I guess, the whole run. Even if I have a quote unquote good run, like I hit my targets, it still just may not be as easy as it should. And again, there's no reason to panic and worry that you're losing fitness. Just like the first tip, or like the first reason, just kind of step back and objectively look at things that may be going on in your life that may be causing you to underperform. So if it is stress at work or at home or with your family or friends or whatever, or maybe you're just not sleeping well, or your diet is kind of off, just realizing that those things do affect your running and affect your training. And then again, just look at how you can improve those external factors if that's possible. So for me, a personal example of this is actually Grandma's marathon, the race. So not even a workout or a run, an actual race. The week of the race, I went to a concert on Wednesday, didn't get home till like midnight, and then I woke up at 3 a.m. to then drive 12 hours to Duluth, Minnesota, basically straight through, and then woke up at 6 a.m. to do the shakeout run at the Duluth Running Co. and then got up at 3 a.m. on Saturday to run Grandma's marathon. Let's just say those were some external factors that definitely played into how I ran on race day. And when I showed up to the start line, I immediately knew I didn't have it. Like as soon as we crossed and I started running, I had a feeling I was not gonna hit my goal. But there was also that part of me that kept thinking, well, I've heard of people who have off days and they still somehow hit their goals. So I'm just gonna keep going, I'm not gonna slow down. But again, there's no reason to panic. There was no reason for me to kind of take that race experience and then assume that all of my races in the future will be the same. I had to just step back, look at everything that kind of went on leading up to the race, and accept that there were some external factors kind of in my control, kind of not, that affected how I raced. And so you live and you learn and you move on. And for Philly, I'm gonna try not to make the same mistake as I did with Duluth. So again, if you miss your workout or you miss a run, but you know that you've just had some external factors that are kind of affecting how you're performing, don't worry about it. You always have tomorrow. You can always try again. It doesn't mean you're losing fitness or that everything's derailed and you still can't hit your goal for your race. Just hit mile 7, 8 minutes, 15 second minute mile split. Current heart rate is 144. Just hit mile 8, 8:28 minute mile split. Time to turn around. 2 miles until I start the fast finish. 145 heart rate. And so the third and final reason you should not worry when you miss a run or a workout is simply because some days you're just gonna be off. And there's no explanation or reasoning as to why. The body ebbs and flows, and unfortunately, fitness, running, working out, whatever, exercising is not linear. Some days you're gonna feel like you can fly, and other days, every step feels like you're gonna die. I've had plenty of runs since I started running where I would have this phenomenal long run or super hard workout that I was nervous about. I would absolutely crush the workout. And then I'd go on some easy run that should be textbook, and I struggle the entire time, and I have no explanation. It wasn't like a workout that was outside of my realm like tip 1, and it wasn't any external factor like tip 2. There's literally no explanation to it. Sometimes you're just gonna be off. Now, the question is, should I be panicking because I just missed a few days, 3 weeks out from my goal race? And honestly, no. Even with 3 weeks left until my goal race, I have no concern or reason to hit the panic button on am I losing fitness or will I be ready for that race? Because there is really no reason to be worried about having some off days. It's gonna happen. To me, what's more important than the off days and worrying about am I losing fitness or am I ready for my race is how do I respond to those off days? Do I let it get me down and kind of give up? Or do I stay consistent and just show up again the next day and hope that tomorrow is better than today or whatever, or that today is better than yesterday? But either way, that's more important to me in missing a run or workout, especially when you can't explain why you missed the run or workout, is how do you show up the next day and how do you continue to stay consistent and motivated? So if you miss a run or workout and you have no explanation, you just had a hard day, just chalk it up to whatever. And like I said, show up again tomorrow, ready to just work hard and continue putting in that effort. Because even though progress is not linear in the day-to-day, when you zoom out to the full picture, the progress is linear to some extent, if you get what I'm saying. When I started running 3 years ago, I was not where I'm at today. So even with those 2 off days, 3 weeks before my marathon, I'm not worried, because even those off days, I was a better runner than I was at the beginning of my running journey altogether. So it's all just putting it in perspective. And like I said, not hitting the panic button as soon as you have one off day with a workout or a run. Just hit mile 9, 8 minutes, 31 second minute mile split. Current heart rate is 159. That means 1 mile until I'm into the fast finish. I will not be reading my heart rate. When I go into the fast finish, I don't have my heart rate monitor, just my watch. So to be honest, the heart rates I've been giving might not even be accurate, and they definitely will not be accurate when I pick up the pace. Just hit mile 10, which means it's time for the marathon pace miles. 8:32 minute mile split. Hopefully these alpha flies hold up in this mud. Cue the sweet electronic music marathon pace montage. Just hit mile 11, 6 minutes, 47 second minute mile split. And so far, the alpha flies are holding up with this slick mud. Just hit mile 12, 6 minutes, 46 second minute mile split. Just hit mile 13, 6 minutes, 43 seconds. And I definitely called it on the heart rate. My watch, probably can't even see, has 2 dots showing no heart rate at the moment. And it dropped to like the 70s a while ago. And it's been recording basically no heart rate for the past hour and like mile and a half. Just hit mile 14, 6 minutes, 49 seconds. That mile was a lot harder. The ground is literally like slush right now. So it's kind of like running in sand. Every footstep kind of slides just a little bit back. Just hit mile 15, 6 minutes, 41 second minute mile split. Finished mile 16 with a 6:28 minute mile split. And with that 16 mile long run complete, I am officially in the taper. I was already starting to kind of taper and reduce mileage, but that was like the last big run I had for my training. I did the full run, 16 miles, 16.01 miles, 2 hours, 4 minutes, 1 second, 7:45 minute mile average. That run was a perfect example of why you shouldn't panic if you miss a run or workout. I would argue that that long run was harder than that 10 mile tempo or 10 mile marathon pace run that I missed. And the alpha flies held up pretty well, but they're dirty. So I gotta go get them clean really quick.